The economic environment over the past few years has predominantly been one of low growth, depressed metal prices and rising fixed costs, to the extent that approximately 70% or more of the platinum industry is loss-making. In the already challenging operating and trading environment, which is characterized by low metal prices, stronger rand, depressed equity market, shrinking appetite for capital approvals by the funders, negative stories emerging on the daily basis with a lot of monotonous regularity, thus making the investors think deeply before investing in us meaning the industry. We certainly could and can do better without the value-destructive Mining Charter 3. Besides the contents thereof, which are scary to say the least, the release charter is a shabily drafted, confused and ambiguous piece of document, clearly drafted with no modicum of expertise in draftsmanship. How the industry is supposed to understand and comply with it defies any stretch of imagination. It has been said that those who raise issues with the charter are anti-transformation. Don't know why. Many people will know that some of us contributed immensely in transforming this industry through MPRDA in 2002 and 2003, from nothingness, where the industry had to give up private ownership of mineral rights. The shareholders had to give up some equity in order to transform this industry without any compulsion. Mining Charter 1 and Mining Charter 2 also were the documents contributed by some of us without any shade of value. Yes, there was shade of value, but it was per agreement through negotiations. How can we have changed with such a discord all of a sudden when Mining Charter comes and we are anti-transformation as an industry? Transformation is such an important constitutional imperative in this country and therefore should be real, realistic, achievable and sustainable. You cannot transform at the expense of the downfall of the economy of the country. It should not, as a matter of principle, be used as a populist football. We should not produce an unrealistic and unachievable piece of work and sugarcoat it as transformation, when it is so bitter and unpalatable to the core. It will implode on us, certainly. The industry will fall flat, the economy will falter further, capital will be chased away, and so will growth remain a myth. Jobs will be lost en masse. We hope, though, that at the end, wisdom will prevail and a realistic charter with realistic targets will be achieved through honest and meaningful engagements. And we are indeed encouraged by the statements that were released by the ruling party yesterday and this morning, raising serious concerns about this document and what it does to the industry and the economy of this country. We hope that we will see something different in few days, few weeks, few months to come.
Creamer Media's Mining Weekly Online is talking to Steve Phiri, the CEO of Royal Bafokeng Platinum. Steve, the going is tough, but they say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. What more can be done to cope with this downturn?
We have already done a lot, and I don't know how much more we can do. You can cut the flesh until you go to the bone and bleed yourself, hemorrhage yourself to death. We're trying to avoid that situation. So we're combining reduction of costs with improving of efficiencies. It's a product that you need to get when you restructure. You don't restructure just by cutting numbers. Just like people, when they have problems, they throw in numbers, people there. And once the problem is over, you've got those people, you've got to retrench them. So any restructuring has got to be fundamental and has got to be sustainable. We've been quite resilient over a period of time. We hope that this thing also shall pass, and I think it will pass. Signs are that we're stabilizing at lower prices, and we can only go up.
We saw the National Union of Mineworkers express terrible fear about job loss yesterday and call on the powers that be to put a new mining minister in position because they're so concerned.
It's very encouraging to hear a union, and in this case of the National Union of Mineworkers, just putting the right finger on the pulse. Because those are kind of good noises that we want to hear from all of us, to say, if this does not happen, we're going to lose jobs. Rather than saying the mining industry doesn't care about jobs, because how can't we care about job losses? So I was very, very happy and encouraged by the statements coming from the National Union of Mineworkers. And I was also encouraged by the Secretary General of the ANC this morning and yesterday to say that we are partners. The industry, the private sector and government and the ANC are partners. We can only improve the situation if we work together, not against each other.
How are you managing to not retrench on a big scale?
We looked at the business as a whole to say, what does a business need? The business needs volumes and it needs quality ounces and therefore revenue. And if we close South Shaft because, UG2 because it's loss making, how can you do to replace those ounces with quality ounces? And we closed the site and we took some of the crews to the Merensky section, yes, at the risk of depleting Merensky earlier than we had anticipated, but we are saving jobs. So all in all, 990-something jobs would have been affected, were on the list of restructuring. But at the end, the people who left the business, including contractors, are 520 people, which includes VSPs, voluntary retrenchment packages, and 189. Some of the workers at South Shaft were transferred to Stelref, the new mine Stelref. So the impact was much lesser than it would have been.
And Royal Bafokeng Platinum, under your leadership, is actually going the extra mile. You're still building houses for your people now and housing infrastructure. How are you managing that?
It's important to give people quality houses, good life, because we have seen the spin-offs thereof. When people stay in beautiful, good houses and they retire in the evening to good homes, which homely situations, then it reflects on their production and productivity, and we have seen that outcome. Unlike a person who's staying in a shabby situation, the following day when he comes to work, he's tired, he has not eaten well, he's not fed well. So we have to do it. It's an imperative.
Against the background of the market hopefully bottoming, and you have also kept spending on growth because you've been putting that capital in there quite bravely during this time, you should be in quite a sweet spot if there's a good turn in this market.
Absolutely. And remember that Stelref is mechanized mine, low-cost mine, high-quality Merensky, shallow Merensky. So we are well positioned for an upturn in the market.
And also, you're not an enormous operation yet. You're still in a situation where you are black-owned. That must put you in a good, favorable situation in South Africa's context.
Go and tell the minister that we are black-owned, and the company which is black-owned 51% by a community, not a single individual, is spending 14 billion rand to build a mine and create jobs.
What about that market? Are we seeing a favorable response to platinum in the electric car market, for instance?
Infrastructure takes time to build, but once it takes off, I don't think anyone can stop electric cars in fuel cells.
And that will be like we used to. We will pull up at a filling station and we will be filled up with liquid hydrogen, which is not a dangerous substance.
No.
And we will be able to travel as we normally do with the range of 500 kilometers. So isn't it wonderful that we can have this transition, But what about the competition from the battery electric vehicle?
Well, battery electric vehicles, yes, are a competition, but they are more city cars than long-range cars. So they are a necessary evil anyway for anti-emissions, to help in the cities drive around from work to home and back and driving around in the city itself. So I would rather see it as complementary rather than a destructive one. But even if it were to take the market share, it's going to be so minimal.
In the first 5 months of this year, China has ordered 18,000 buses that will be driven by fuel cells which contain platinum, probably more platinum than the normal car. The
growth point for demand is in China and India. So definitely that's the case. Like it happened in ferroalloys when China started with their modernization, industrialization and urbanization program. China really spiked the demand for iron ore, ferrochrome, you name them, the manganese. So we see the same in PGMs.
And if we've got this improvement and political improvement and market improvement, what would be your message now to the people of South Africa as we close this interview?
My message is the fundamentals long-term are quite strong. Yes, we are in a down cycle. There are a lot of uncertainties about diesel. Diesel has a future, but it's not going to be diesel the same as it used to be in the previous years, because fuel cell is coming in. Only quality, clean diesel cars are going to be allowed on the roads. But as far as fuel cells are concerned, and other usages of platinum, we believe that this industry is an investable industry going forward. But my message to South Africa, particularly the regulators and government, is that you cannot produce 80% of PGMs in the world and still be on Euro 2. We need to spike up and say, let's put our money where our mouth is.
So you're saying to the South African government, the world is moving towards a cleaner air, and we are the platinum providers that are the catalyst for this clean air. Can you please come to the party?
Absolutely. How can you sell soap, washing soap, and you yourself are dirty?
And what could the government do? It could encourage the movement beyond very low-level emission control.
Stringent anti-emission legislation, but also spike in demand in terms of the equivalent of Kruger rents. Nelson Mandela coins, for example, in platinum, which we have been struggling to achieve as an industry because of regulatory red tape.
So you're saying the government could actually contribute to platinum's benefit? This is part of our country, this platinum,
absolutely,
by actually following what the rest of the world is doing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that was Creamer Media's Mining Weekly Online, talking to Steve Phiri, the CEO of Royal Bafokeng Platinum.